Welcome back, and to talk more about the South Sudan crisis, we are joined in the studio by engineer Hazem, a political analyst. Hello, sir, and welcome to our show.
Hello, but let me just correct that I'm the chairman of the Republican People's Party in Egypt. I'm not a political analyst.
Hi, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, now the government of South Sudan and the rebels agreed to form a unity government within 60 days and end the country's civil war. How do you see this?
I see it a very positive step, and let's hope that it will not be so fragile for similar to the ceasefire that has been signed on the 9th of May last month, and it did not last for more than a few days, and then the civil war started again. The conflict in south of Sudan, which started, the spark started by a conflict of power and distribution of wealth between Salva Kiir, the President Salva Kiir, and his deputy Riek Machar, actually has led to killing of thousands, and also hundreds of thousands have been leaving their homes, their land as refugees. So Egypt is very concerned, and gaining stability and peace in south of Sudan is a strategic goal to Egypt, as we consider that Sudan is the natural depth of our own national security.
How far dangerous is the situation in South Sudan if we compare it, or if we talk about it's a neighboring country to Egypt? What are the dangers of the situation there?
It is. Any country that is sharing borders with Egypt, stability is very important. Now we have already seen our west borders with Libya. There is a great deal of instability due to the what's so-called Arab Spring. And also now we have another instability in our south border with Sudan. When there is a civil war or instability, it exports chaos to their neighboring countries, and also you may be forced to receive refugees, or maybe you will be threatened by the fact that you will see a foreign troops to be deployed in such a country, and this does not help the Egyptian national security. That's why even in Darfur, if you see the peacekeeping troops, you will find that the majority of the troops, or Egypt has the largest number of troops for peacekeeping, was mainly in Sudan. So it is not to our interest, apart from being an Arab, part of the Arab world, and Egypt holds a responsibility, and it has a pioneering role, and it has a leading role in uniting the Arabs together, and trying to avoid the dividing countries and conflicts and stuff like that. So basically, Egypt has been very busy in the past 3.5 years, focusing mainly on its internal and domestic affairs. But now Egypt is stepping back and regaining its position in the African continent, and stepping back and taking her seat in the African Security and Peace Council. And as we can see that our new president, elected President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is going to Algeria, and I believe that he will have talks with the president of Algeria regarding Libya. We have many concerns in Libya, and tomorrow he is going to Guinea for the NEPAD Initiative Organization meeting. So I think that it is time that Egypt will focus again and regain her role in the African continent.
Okay, about the UN has estimated that about 4 million people are on the brink of starvation because of the conflict going there in South Sudan. How far it represent dangerous on the economic situation if a deal did not reach between South Sudan government and the rebels?
Of course, it will reflect a big problem not only to Egypt but to the whole world. I mean, we have a responsibility towards millions of people who will face starvation. So basically, we don't want to wait and to see this happening, and also it will delay so many projects for development. For example, now we have this conflict of the Ethiopian dam, and we have alternatives for the water, like the Jonglei Channel, which will be in association or in partnership with the south of Sudan. So basically, this civil war does not help anyone. And the consequences of civil war is beyond imagination.
Sir, why now there is a crisis in South Sudan? Why the crisis now happened in South Sudan? Why suddenly we found South Sudan is in a major crisis?
South Sudan and Egypt played also a big role in that, had the peace for 9 years, until the spark started between a conflict of power between President Salva Kiir and his deputy Riek Machar. This very quickly reflected on the ground, and it was like pouring fuel to the spark or to the fire that led to the civil war. And the United States, they have practiced a lot of pressure on both, and also on the generals who are to end this conflict, to the extent that the United States threatened that they will be put on trial as criminals of war. And this led, under pressure, to sign the ceasefire on 9th of May. But it was too fragile because it was under pressure, it was under threat. I believe the main cause is conflict of power and conflict on distributing the revenues of the oil. The oil revenues are the energy revenues. So I believe that forming this unity government may be a good step on the way for agreeing on arranging or redistribution of wealth and also power. So this might be a solid step on the way.
Do you consider that what's happening in South Sudan by any means is ethnic fighting, because the struggle between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir, as the West always reports, it's an ethnic fighting going on there? Do you believe it's
no, I don't see it ethnic. I see it a conflict over power and wealth. Mm-hmm.
How this problem should be solved?
What
are the cards that South Sudan have, maybe the government, to end the crisis with the rebels?
When they see a real development, when they see a fair distribution of revenues, economical revenues, and they see a development and a project, I think they need a national project that they see hope that the economical situation will be better and there will be a fair distribution for the and I think that Egypt will play a role in that.
What should Egypt do to help in solving this problem?
Egypt enjoys a good credit with both with Salva Kiir and with Riek Machar, and I believe that historically Egypt has a very heavy weight in the African continent. And also, during in the past, historically, Egypt played a big role between also the conflict between South Sudan and North of Sudan. So Egypt enjoys a very good credit with both. Also, but Egypt cannot impose itself. But Egypt, as a mediator, it's an honest mediator. But it has to be upon the request of both parties, and upon agreement with both parties. And I think also Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry held a side talk the day before yesterday with the South of Sudan Minister of Foreign Affairs, also talking about Egypt is willing to help economically and technically and also as security. So Egypt will do whatever it takes to regain the stability and peace in South Sudan.
Okay, now South Sudan holds the third largest oil reserves in the sub-Saharan Africa after Angola. How far this will affect the oil worldwide? the prices of the oil world, or it will not have an effect?
Not in the near future. But medium term, yes, it might affect, and that's all this conflict is all about. So,
South Sudan is rich in resources and oil. It has many natural resources. Why this country is least or less developed?
because of what's going on, because of the conflicts, because of the lack of investments. They need foreign direct investments. They need exploration companies to go there and to explore for the oil, and they need a lot of work ahead. That's why I told you that I believe that the reserves of South Sudan will not affect the price of the energy and oil in the near future, but in the medium term, yes, it might be. But I think that they have a long way. First, it has to start with the ceasefire, and then second, to be solved by a political agreement that will last, and political agreement will be reached when they have a fair distribution of wealth, and especially oil, as we speak.
Okay. Why the pace of the events which is taking place in South Sudan is so quick? How do you explain this? Why things are moving so fast?
Poverty. Poverty is always, has been historically always the fuel of any war, either civil war or external war. So poverty and that's why the whole world should focus on developing South of Sudan. Development is the cure of civil wars.
And do you believe that other neighboring countries should play a role in what's going in South Sudan? Apart, of course, Egypt is going to have its role, but what about the other neighboring countries?
I believe that they have a role, and I believe that this has been already discussed, and it will be discussed, I believe, day after tomorrow in Nepal. Yes, they do have a role, because when there is instability in a certain region, it grows and it has its implementation and its effects on the neighboring countries. And I believe that even Minister of Foreign Affairs Sameh Shukri, when he met Bernaba, the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Sudan 2 days ago, also I believe that the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Tanzania has attended this side talks and this meeting. So they do have, but also it depends on their situation and their position and what they can provide. And you know that most of the African countries are, third world countries. And there is not much that they can provide, but I believe that there is a responsibility on the superpower of the world and the rich G8 or the G7. I believe that they have a role also in restoring the peace and stability in the African continent.
And what if the situation is still and will be unclear in South Sudan, and it will not going to be solved in the near future? What do you expect to happen if things goes worse?
It will not be to the interest of South Sudan, and it will not be to the interest of Egypt, and it will not be to the interest of the region in general. Because if this will go on, I believe that we will see a more or a larger scale of foreign troops to be deployed.
Do you expect that foreign troops can be deployed in South Sudan?
This is one of the possibilities.
Do you believe that's why the international community did not interfere in the situation until this moment? We feel that they are not even lending a hand of help, and they are just... We hear only statements, but no real action happened so far in South Sudan.
Let's not jump to conclusions, and let's hope that it will be solved, and we see today a positive step on the road. So let's be let's keep the hope. Let's keep the hope, and also and we will work, and Egypt will work and will mediate.
But why, from your own point of view, the international community did not intervene? Why?
They tried. The United States tried, and it led to an agreement of ceasefire as I mentioned before, last month in May, precisely 9th of May, but it was too fragile and did not last for long because it did not have the basis, the solid ground for a ceasefire.
Or maybe both parties are not, as we say, they don't want a peace deal. Maybe they want things to go on like this until one will win the situation in the end.
I cannot say that, this is an overstatement, but I believe that our role is to advise and to warn as well about the consequences. And I believe that they started to feel the consequences, and it's going to be a bad consequences. And that's why I see a positive move from both of them, and forming this unity government might be a good step in the solution.
So you're optimistic, sir?
Yes, I am.
Well, Engineer Hazem Omar, thank you for joining us, and welcome once again to Africa Today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, this brings us to the end of our Africa Today. I'm Dina Mamdouh. Thank you for watching.